Different place today. Nicola S, Fiona Reed. Morning, Sally O'Sullivan. Hope you're well, my darling. Ellen, Nicola S. If you can hear that clipping, clopping, it's the rain. It's torrential rain. Is it raining where you are? Give us a yes or no. What's the weather like where you are? Is it raining? Is it pouring? Is the old manny snoring? Although in my case, is the old lady snoring? Hi everyone. Morning, Sally. Morning, April Hill. Nicola Higgins. Hazel Malbon. I've just come in from a meeting and just jumped in the car, and I thought, well, let's just do it quickly here because I've got a house full of people at the moment. Hey, Gabrielle. Hi, Leanne. Someone somewhere. Jen Legs was leggy blonde. Jen Legs, you've changed. Are you going to then lose was leggy blonde once we've got used to Jen Legs? Jenny Faye, UK, Life of Maisie. Morning, Sarah Jane. How is everyone? How is everyone this morning? Denise Nelson Gale, how are you, my darling? Once again, thank you for all of your lovely messages. It's Father's Day this weekend. I popped something up yesterday about showing photos of Izzy and doing a Flurg and doing a Maddie and Kiki running through the ages. And Father's Day is a funny one, isn't it? Are you going to be celebrating? I mean, obviously, the problem with Mother's and Father's Day is, for so many people, they'll either not have the respective mother or father, and you know, it can be a day of great loss or reflection and things like that. And so we're always big on saying, whilst we all go charging towards the kind of celebratory bit, there's also the bit that we have to. I mean, obviously, I don't know my father, and you know, and it's complicated, and you know, there are many other people like me, but I know my 4 daughters, and I do like Father's Day. I do love it. Yeah, see, Sue Wood, I miss my dad. He died 10 years ago. Exactly. So it's a day for, I hope, fond reflection. Linda Fissett, Father's Day and football. Absolutely. So Father's Day on Sunday. I'm sure Maddie and Kiki will be frantically doing their cards later tonight or Saturday evening. Hi, Ross Donnelly. Hope you're Sarah Jane. Thank you for, oh, bless you, Sarah Jane. That's very sweet. Look, we all try. Oh, by the way, seeing as we're talking about parenting, oh, Jenny Matthews, you miss your dad. Absolutely. It's difficult. It's difficult, and you know, it's funny when you don't have a father. You sort of, I've had what I call a sort of photo fit father across my life. Often the fathers of partners have become very important to me, like Izzy's granddad, Roger. He was hugely important to me as a sort of father figure. You know, Nadia's dad, Jim, who, you know, was a sort of father figure from the age of about 12. Yeah, Kim Lakides, Maddie can book her jab from today. I got my jab last night, and my arm, which is currently holding this phone, is really hurting in a way that the last one didn't. Did anyone else get more of an achy arm after the second one? Probably going to get better reception here, aren't we, on 4G in the car park? Oh, thank you, Bobby Ward. Will do. Yes, you did. Someone somewhere, your friend did. Me, it's really sore, says Fiona Reed. Denise Drummond Mulvaney. It's very sore. These new drugs that I'm on for the bipolar, they're also playing havoc with my sleep. I mean, I know all of their side effects are supposed to be able to make you sleep better, but they're making me not sleep. So hopefully that'll iron itself out. So I'm even more tired than I was, which isn't good. Ruth Blandford, I had the jab further up my arm the second time, which was much better on the second vaccine. So today is significant because everyone over 18 can now book a jab, or, you know, phone their local pharmacy and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious to know whether, you know, getting a second, so like in Maddie's instance, where she's clearly had COVID and she still has long COVID with a lack of taste and smell. It'd be interesting to know whether her antibodies are going to be so strong that she'll almost become like a COVID superhero, that she'll be, you know, so immune. I mean, she was very poorly and we're talking about February last year. Thank you very much, Brenda McGee. And did anyone else, I mean, we're not fans of the Daily Mail, but did anyone else see on the front of the Daily Mail today, they're talking about the fact that they could be loosening lockdown a touch earlier than the July 19th date that they were mooting. Partly because of the news that we shared with you about John Campbell. Now, we're not suggesting for a minute that because we shared it, but what I'm saying is it's kind of we're quite pleased that the front of the Mail bucks the trend a bit today by saying, look, there's potentially good news. In the real world, the bond between vaccination and transmissibility and hospitalisation is having a definite effect. So I think that's got to be good news, hasn't it? It's good news. So yeah, Jacqueline Frost, hope you're well. Ruth Blandford, yeah, it is fabulous news, isn't it? It's really good news. Gabrielle, I've seen some tweets claiming that NHS staff say they have been told to take holiday now, ready for lockdown in September. I hope this isn't fake accounts trying to scaremonger. Well, yes, I saw that. I've just seen a story. The Independent's reporting that the Delta variant cases have soared. Again, think of that language, soared by 78%. That's not to mean that they haven't gone up, but let's put it all, again, it's all relative. You know, if you had 3 cases and it soared by 78%, it would have gone up by about 2 cases. See what I mean? It's all about playing with statistics and numbers, isn't it? But yes, Steve Charlton, you're right. The Mail, it's kind of an unusual one that the Mail have actually reported some positive news for a change, which is really good. Mike 444. What does that mean? What does that mean, Robert James? What does it mean? What does Mike 444 mean? It's like the sign for. It's like from Damien Omen. What do you mean? The sun is shining here in Scotland, Leslie S. Well, what does that possibly mean? Does that possibly mean... Okay, I want you all now to give me... Hi, Emma Carter. How are you, darling? I want you now to tell me what you think the score is going to be tonight in the England-Scotland match, whilst we carry on talking. Ellen, we cannot predict that far. Things are looking good for now. Things are looking good for now, and I think it is a case of just, you know, maybe things could be loosened. It was 50,000 a day this time last year. Bare voice, Jenny Ella Cook. There you go. There you go. What do we think the score's going to be? 2-0 England, 5-1 to England. Oh, okay, so quite a thumping win. I heard on the radio a couple of Scottish fans saying they believe it's going to be 6-0 to Scotland. Do you think that could work? Brenda McGee, 5-0. I'm presuming the 0-5 means... Are they playing in Glasgow? I thought they were playing in Glasgow. Scotland 2-1. Who's saying 2-1? Scotland. Leanne Turner. Leslie Davis, 1-0. See, I feel traditionally in these situations, I think England are the favourite to win, right? Even the Scottish fans in London were talking about this. But historically, these are the kind of matches where England kind of squander everything, don't you think? These are the kind of moments where we just drop the ball, quite literally, or don't get the ball and score an own goal and all those other... But it's a game of 2 halves, and when the final whistle's done, Xander would have said 23-0 to Scotland, says Nicola Higgins. 2-1 to England, Mandy Arthur. Jen Legs was Leggy Blonde, 2-1 to England. Yeah, I think England's going to win. Sarah Elliott, you prefer rugby. A lot of people do prefer rugby. I've never got into rugby. Isn't that weird? I've never found... I had to play it at school, rugby. And I never wanted to. I loved football. I was a defender and I was the captain of the team. And I loved cricket. I was also the captain of the cricket team. And I batted at third, and I was a bowler. Rugby, something about running at really large, intimidating other boys hurting me didn't strike me as something I wanted to do. So I remember having a huge argument with my sports teacher saying, I don't want to do it. Anyway, I had to do it, and they put me on the wing and I had to run along. Anyway, I don't know why, I find lots of burly men ripping each other's ears off. I don't find it. I know there's skill to it, and I know that there's a real art to it. But if I'm honest, can I be a bit honest about rugby? Does anyone else feel this? The Mrs. Nicky's 6. I find rugby a bit posh. Does anyone else? I find the rugby a bit posh. It's like when I was at college, all the private school boys played rugby. It was just, maybe it's just been hardwired, you know. All our state school kids came in scrapping away on the football pitch. Cricket's a bit posh too, but we did play cricket at school. But we came in scrapping away on the football pitch, and all the posh boys. Well, what school did you go to? Really? Yeah, I was Latimer Upper. I've not heard of Holland Park. Where's that? Sounds like it's in a very, very posh place. So, of course, because I went to a state school in Holland Park, it was totally confusing. Because it was a posh part of town, but it was a state school. Because my mum lived in a pokey little flat. And, yeah, you kind of say, they go, so what position do you play? I'd be like, oh God, I only played winger a couple of times. do you follow the Wasps, the Harbleton Harriers, or the whispering Wimbledon? I never understood a word they were saying. Rugby. Oh, I'm pleased people say that. Rugby is posh. Do you go skiing? Where'd you go skiing? What's your favourite place to go skiing? I found all that stuff so intimidating. That was one of the things about going to university that I found really intimidating. Rowing. Oh my God. As soon as I got to university, I joined the rowing club because the first guy I met there was a super posh boy. And he's like, come on, we must join the rowing club. It's so much fun. I didn't go once. Because when you go to college, you discover that the first 20 people you meet, you only stay knowing one of them, don't you? I played golf once. It was, now, golf, I have a real problem with. Lots of people I know and respect and love golf. I just find it a bit too male. I don't know, I had an ex-girlfriend whose father would relish taking me on the golf course and beating me to a pulp, not like literally with a golf club, though I'm sure he wanted to do that too. He was in the army. Like, come on, Adley, 18 holes, come on. It's making him sound posh, wasn't that? Come on, 18 holes. And anyway, and he used to just love watching me unable to tee off, couldn't get the ball down the thingy. I was kind of all right at putting. But golf, it wasn't, I mean, golf can be posh. I mean, golf is quite a universal classless sport. But I just find it a bit, it's like golf widows. Tennis, I like tennis. I mean, tennis always, it's quite nice and nostalgic chat about sports. Tennis, my nan, my mum was not into sports at all, but my nan, Nanny Thelma, was a huge sports fan. Do you find that sort of older generations of women were really committed to sports? They really kind of, she'd phone me up when England lost or won the Ashes. Yeah, Ellen, I think you're right. I'm beating around the bush. Golf is posh. Tennis is quite posh. But there's a sort of brute force to it. And John McEnroe helped to bring it down a peg or two. I was fascinated by John McEnroe. And is it Nastasi, the ones who used to shout and swear a lot? G'day, Total Storm Addict. How you doing, mate? Rugby is not posh in New Zealand, but soccer is, Catherine Clausen. That's interesting. Polo. Polo, we're joking. We're talking horse polo. Horse polo. Yeah, I tell you what we're going to do, right? We're going to take a horse, and then we're going to take a really tiny ball, and we're going to put said jockey on horse, put them in a field of other rabid horses with lots of testosterone-fueled individuals on top of the horses, chuck the small ball in, give them all a load of mallets from that wonderful game called croquet, and then they're going to chase the ball around. What say you? Have you ever played croquet? I've played, rounders, Ross Donnelly, rounders. When I was a student in the summer, I used to run a sports club at a couple of primary schools. And rounders, I mean, I've always been a fan of baseball, you see. And rounders was great, wasn't it? 4 bases, hit the ball, run around, charge about. It was great fun. Rounders is a sort of sport for all men and women, obviously. Tracy Golden, are you secretly posh? If only. State primary, state secondary, cruddy little university. No, I'm not posh. But I was around lots and lots of posh. Good God. If you work at the BBC, everyone's bloody posh there. Everyone's posh there. Loved rounders, absolutely loved rounders. But rounders was a bit comp. It was comprehensive. You'd go, because it's like you punch each other at the bases, wouldn't you? You'd kind of trip each other up and all that kind of stuff. I really twisted my leg really badly once when I was playing rounders. What other sports were there? Swimming, that's a universal sport, isn't it? We've talked about that before, swimming. Lacrosse. God, we used to go and play football or we'd go and play cricket, and then you'd see the posh girls from the posh school. They'd all be walking across with their kind of, horsey ponytails. That was such a fabulous game of lacrosse. And they'd have those nets, wouldn't they? Those crazy nets. Apparently, Nadia's mum, Betty, loved lacrosse. I'm not posh, from Stoke. Ha ha, Hazel. The Adderleys are from Stoke. We are Stokians. Family game of rounders after barbecue in a field. Brilliant. Ellen, that is such a nice thing, isn't it? I'll tell you something I have played a lot when I've been in America or in California is beach volleyball. That's fun. Beach volleyball is great fun. I broke my ribs playing beach volleyball. I leapt so high and far. I landed on my side and I made that awful sound that ribs make when there's an exhalation of air. Badminton! I used to play badminton with my nan. Here, do you want a really sad story? When I used to go down to my nan's, I was obviously there for most of the summers. I didn't have any friends down there because it wasn't near my school. All my friends were in London. And I'd go and play cricket. My nan would come down with me to the what's it called, the recreation playground, and she'd throw the ball at me, and my BMX bike would be the wicket, and I'd hit the ball, and guess what? Because I didn't want my nan, because she was a lot older than me, though she probably wasn't that much older than Nadia now. Christ, I'd get on my bike and I'd field it. I'd field my own ball. I had like a split personality when playing sports as a kid. I used to play Subbuteo on my own. It was really hard. It was really, really hard because, of course, I'd have a league table, I'd have the scoreboard, I'd have the crowd and everything, and I'd flick the ball around, and then I would literally occupy the mentality of the opposing team. Golf is so boring to watch, Debbie O'Connor. My granddad used to watch golf on the telly. They'd hit the ball, and this was back in the day when they didn't have really sophisticated cameras, and I'd be like, what are we looking at? And he'd be like, he couldn't see it. You couldn't see it. Tottenham always won, Brenda McGee. Tottenham always won. Yeah, I was the boy that used to stand on the edge of cricket pitches or playgrounds when other kids were playing, when I was down at my nan's, waiting to be asked. They wouldn't ask me, so I'd make my own game of cricket, wouldn't I? Because I came from London. So anyway, yeah, someone was just saying hockey. Hockey is hockey sticks, jolly hockey sticks. Hockey, I mean, I've held a hockey stick. It hurts, doesn't it? It hurts. It hurts your ankles when you miss the ball and you hit your ankles. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Basketball. I remember playing basketball. We used to play basketball a bit at school. It wasn't massive, but I could never take it seriously because I remember our sports teacher, who was so serious and so angry. I remember him landing when he caught the ball once and farting so loud in the sports hall. It's probably still echoing in that hall today. It was an absolute, to quote Joe Wicks, ripper. It was a ripper. It ripped through everything. And of course, loads of boys, we just fell on the floor just giggling and laughing. Squash. Another sport where my sports teacher teaching me squash farted in the middle of playing. You know, they always say in squash, occupy the tee, you know, on the court. If you occupy the tee, you hit the ball, you hit the squash ball and you run back to the tee. And he occupied the tee so well, but he occupied it by farting so horribly I didn't want to be in the tee or near the tee. It was just farty smell. And in a squash court, you're constrained and you feel I got a bit claustrophobic. Stool ball. Did you do jumps and ramps on your BMX? I used to love my BMX. It was called Bernie the BMX, and it was a red and yellow one. So it was a red metal frame, and it had the yellow cushiony bits. And yeah, my granddad used to take me to the New Forest, and we'd go to smashed up old World War II landing strips, and they'd have all these kind of bunkers and stuff like that, I guess for artillery and stuff like that, I don't know what. And yeah, I used to ride over the top of those. That was great fun. And then I remember going round an island once. I thought, I'm going to go around this island, and this is in Muddyford. I'm going to go around this island 100 times. I got to 85, and then I got my foot caught on the pedal, tipped me over the top. I landed on my front, winded myself, and went back home. All the sail taken out all the sail taken out of my winds, all the wind taken out of my sails. No, it was my sports teacher that had all the wind taken out of his sails. Ugh. Nasty. So yeah, that's sport. Oh, Notting Hill Carnival has just been cancelled. Isn't that funny? I'm talking about my childhood. I grew up right on the route of the Notting Hill Carnival. Notting Hill Carnival has been cancelled for the 2nd year running. I have to say, I really feel for all of these festivals being thrown into turmoil yet again, large and small. Mark, on Monday, Nicola Higgins, would you please sing happy 11th birthday to my daughter Chloe? Will be out and miss coffee moaning. Oh, poo, how am I gonna remember that? Let me see if I can take a photo. Oh, I just took a screenshot. How's that? Oh, hey. Hopefully that screenshot will have been taken. I'd love to surf if I wasn't paranoid about sharks. Ruth, Well, that's true. I was about to say go surfing in Cornwall, but I've caught a shark off the coast of Cornwall. I love canoeing. That's not too posh. Rowing is posh, but canoeing isn't too posh. I used to watch the Oxford-Cambridge boat races with my nan. Used to love that. Katie Wilson, you learnt to ride a unicycle when I was 15. That's really hard. A friend of mine who sadly passed away, Toby, he could ride a unicycle whilst juggling batons that were on fire. Yeah, he used to do the festivals. Jenny Matthews, what about Cornwall? Yeah, what about Cornwall? Yeah, surfing. I guess you're talking about surfing. So, in the news today, on the radio, Nick Ferrari was talking about doommongers. Doommongerers. All the people from Sage who just keep coming out and saying, oh, it's all terrible, it's all terrible. I think we just need to, this week, for a minute, feel that things are all right and things could be better. I don't want to sing that. Is it Doreen, that song? Things can only get better. Always makes me think of Tony Blair dancing really badly, that song. It's really annoying. Ava Greenall, I've just had 3 festivals cancelled that I was due to play at. My whole livelihood has been like, oh, God, Ava, yeah. Had gigs booked that are now postponed. Yeah, I mean, Maddie's got a couple of gigs that, again, have had to... Well, they're booked because they're just after the July the 19th. But we're just getting a bit squeaky bum about it because, of course, you know, could it be pushed back again? I'm trusting that it's not. I'm trusting that John Campbell knows what he's talking about and that the real world, details are going to be good. Infections are rising, but hospitalizations are decreasing. You know, if you think of the number of flu deaths and the infection rate of flu, we're nowhere near that. We are going to have to get to a point where we live with this, and unless, of course, it becomes horrendously voracious and terrible and hospitalizations go through the roof. So today, going into the weekend, I'm choosing to remain happy. And I tell you what helps with my depression is it pissing with rain. I freaking love it. Sorry to swear, but I do. I love it. I heard it, I listened to it, I can smell it. The wet grass is green. It's just joyful. It's just joyful. Now, a couple of big stories today in the news are stabbings in London. There was another stabbing last night in Balham. And I just wanted to ask you guys, this is quite a serious subject. What do you think about the whole stop and search thing? Now, obviously, for various ethnic communities in London, this is it's a sort of low-level form of harassment, though it's not low-level within the black community in London. And, you know, the vast majority of young black men, principally, are stopped at least 5 or 6 times in their childhood, at least, and checked for knives. Now, there was a big debate happening on LBC radio about whether stop and search was right or not right and all this kind of stuff. And again, 18 deaths in London from stabbings, a lot of them principally happening in our neck of the woods, actually, in southeast London. And I think one of the suggestions that I thought was a good suggestion was that, I think do you think our police should be equipped with body cameras? In order to ensure that when they do these stop and searches, they're done with some degree of dignity or safety, because it is, I think we have to understand. Stop every teen. Yeah, I mean, I think here's the thing. I don't have a problem with stop and search if it's done regardless of ethnicity, regardless of skin colour, regardless of class, and it's just done in various areas, say, that are hot spots. You have almost like, when you're driving around and they have, they have insurance stops and they pull you over and they check all your details. Maybe having that in certain, although to be honest with you, youngsters with knives and what have you are going to just avoid those areas, aren't they? But if you can't somehow literally police who the police are going to stop, the next best thing, and also there are issues sometimes where if in, say, certain parts of London, Brixton or whatever, the principal mix in the population is, say, black or Asian, like, say, around my mum's, you have certain concentrations of certain ethnic groups in London, then of course the level of people that you stop is going to be higher within a certain class of people, if you like. But I do think that it makes total sense to have body cams, because then at least with the body cams, you're granting the person who's being stopped and searched some degree of sort of insurance policy of some form. Okay, of course, body cams can be tampered with and all that kind of stuff. You see it in America all the time. Total Storm Addict. Our cops have cameras. They just wave metal detector wands over people. Oh, sorry. What have I just done? Sorry, I lost that. I didn't see what you were saying. Something has to be done. But then, of course, the bigger problem is that we need to, I personally think they need to reinvent or revitalise the idea of not youth centres, but some kind of distraction or activity. I don't think it's a surprise that coming out of lockdown, there's this pent up sort of fury and frustration, and it's spilling over. I mean, it's like, it's like when you have hot summers. I mean, I think if this summer gets much hotter and it stays close and sort of horrible, I think you're going to see much more sort of crime on the streets. I mean, there was an instance locally where the police tried to get control of a situation on the street and they just couldn't get control. Everyone in the area refused to let the police come down. Someone somewhere, I was taking my daughter to ballet at the synagogue on Prentice Road last week. 20 minutes after that lad was stabbed. So scary. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's a real problem. And I mean, although they had the police minister on the radio saying, but hospitalizations are going down, critical. What they don't realize is that an awful lot of stabbings in London, you hear about the ones where sadly people die, but apparently there's an awful lot of youngsters get DIY sort of A&E because they don't want to be charged, or they don't want to go to the police, or they don't want to be, Maureen, I think police should be allowed to stop and search anyone if you're not doing wrong. What's the problem? I agree, but I think what you end up doing is, if there's a particular section of society, say the black community, that feels that they are stopped predominantly more than any other category of person, you're going to breed resentment, and that resentment filters down in society to sort of low level and high level upset, anger and frustration. You feel marginalized, you feel kettled in, you feel sort of picked on. And I think, unless you understand that, you'll never get a grip on it. Drone, I just wanted to ask you guys, so drones, what do you think of drones, guys? I don't want to drone on about it. Drones, are they posh? No. You don't really I've got to get out of the park and play with my drone. I've got to get my drone in the air. Drones. Anne-Marie, how am I feeling? I'm not feeling great, but when I'm here now talking to you, I'm going to put a really rosy tinted thing on it, because you don't want to see me sitting here in a miserable state. It distracts me, and hopefully it distracts you. They frighten you, Velvet Vicky, but thank you for asking. Velvet Vicky waiting. We are going to be talking about everything that's been going on in probably How to Stay Married at some point. So you love drones, Hazel Malbon. Apparently they're trying to bring in new legislation, it's hard to say, that disallows them from flying so low. We had the situation last summer of drones being 2 foot above Kiki in the hot tub. What's that about? What is that about? That's absolutely outrageous. I went running out to chase down and find whoever, but of course there's such distance on where they can operate them. I think drones are, I'm going to be really honest with you. I get really bored of drone shots in film. It's like, there was something on telly last night about some park or garden that they were doing. It was the most boring documentary. me and Nanny died gardening fans. It was the most boring documentary I've ever seen. And drone shot after drone shot. And after a while, you just get a bit like, oh God, here's another fucking drone shot. Some people that have them are idiots. Some of them are perverts. Some of them are casing joints to rob. Good for photography, absolutely. We have one and use it lots in the bush. I can see that, and I can see why you would use it. And I think they do get great shots. I just find them deeply invasive. And of course, like in the park, they've stopped them being flown in the local parks because they can crash. Going back to the stop and search, Reese Roberts, ethnic minorities live a different reality in London, so that has to be sympathised with. Absolutely agree. Yes, camera footage is needed, but that's why you need police officers that understand communities and areas. Absolutely. I mean, just having cameras isn't going to solve the sentiment, is it? They are invasive, Elijah, drones. Linda Fissett loved drones for films, the intro of seeing the landscape. Yeah, it's not that they don't deliver great shots. They do, but I don't know. And it's a huge skill and artistry required in operating drones. I'm full of respect for drone cameramen and camerawomen and technical staff. I just find they've become sort of so common everywhere that it's like, oh, all right, okay, here's the drone shot. Here's the drone shot. Drones are dangerous around pylons. They are. I had a cheap drone. That's hard to say, isn't it, Aaron? I had a cheap drone for a while, and it was cool to play with, but from a security and privacy standpoint, they're scary. Katie Wilson. Can we all send Katie Wilson a huge hug? She's feeling very lonely at the moment, and we all keep her company. Sending you a big hug, Katie. Octavia Love, there's a lot of vloggers who use drones. Fantastic footage. Yeah, we're going to be. I want to shoot a film where I want to do something counterintuitive with a drone. I want to use it indoors. I mean, I know you can use drones indoors, but I want to shoot something inside a domestic scenario with the drone for that sort of strange out-of-body experience. Big hugs, Katie. And a final bit of weird news. They've discovered in China rhinos, or the skeletons of rhinos, that are bigger than giraffes. I don't know why. That appeals to the child me standing on the edge of a cricket pitch, wanting to be asked to play. If I knew that there were rhinos bigger than giraffes, I'd have run round the playground pretending I was a rhino. Where's my pig? Stacey Randall. Where's my pig? Who's got my pig? If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and check out the trailer for Nicolas Cage's new bizarre film, The Pig. I kid you not. He is the owner of a truffle hunting pig. He loses said pig, or the pig gets kidnapped, and he goes searching for it. Yep. Nick Cage is on an absolute tear with his bizarre indie films at the moment. So guys, yeah, so giant giraffe-sized rhinos discovered in China. Now, I want to ask you all a really tricky evolutionary question. If we come, as Brian Cox was telling us the other night in a brilliant, well, it wasn't that brilliant actually, documentary about extraterrestrial life. If we as humans come from globby bits of blobby stuff, which itself came from where the volcanic outpourings from deep in the ocean combined with protons from other plankton. If we come from that, let's say we come from that. Why, given the fact that when we unearth things like dinosaurs, and we weren't around when dinosaurs were around, we can find dinosaur remains, why do we never find, and we find early examples of old man, why do we never find, if we say, so let's accept that we were once a blobby fish and now we're us, why do we never find the remains of half-blob fish human? I just want to leave that thought with you. Where? Is that the missing link? Or as Ridley Scott posits in Prometheus, were we the aliens that landed here? I just want to ask that question, because when you go into history and prehistoric history and prehistory and evolution and all of this kind of stuff, we make so many more assumptions, we realize, in our historical understanding of man than I think we all really understand. Where is the half-blob fish human, Gabrielle? Where is it? I want to know where it is. I personally think it doesn't exist because I don't think that's how it happened. Why would we not have it? So there you go. Okay? So I just thought I'd ask a question. I've not seen them. I don't know if you're suggesting that they're in North Croydon, in Croydon town centre, somewhere. The half-blobby fish human. I haven't seen any in Croydon. Julie, maybe we didn't start as that. Anyway, carry on thinking about that. I want you to give us serious answers later in the day. Have a lovely day, guys. Have a lovely Friday. The Members Live will be coming, and sending you all of our love. And there will be something dropping on the channel later today, vloggy or GFHE or something like that. Have a lovely day, guys. Thanks for the natter. And yeah, I really want to play wing half. Yeah, I need to really get in the scrum. Oh, I love a scrum. I love holding on to Jerry's ears, don't you? They're really pliable, his ears. You can just pull them, you can tug them. Oh, yeah, it's really good fun being in a rugby scrum.